Good morning. Before we begin today, I do have to ask you to please turn off your phones, watch alarms, any other devices that beep, chirp, talk, or otherwise make noises that could be distracting. Thank you very much. The ceremony will last about 2 hours. Please avoid getting up and walking in the aisles during the ceremony because doing so may disturb others. You may have also noticed that it is a bit warm today. So I strongly encourage you, including those of you on the stage, if you would like to take your jackets off, try to stay cool, please try and stay comfortable. And with those formalities aside, please sit back and enjoy. Welcome, family, friends, faculty, guests, alumni, and graduates to the 2012 Convocation of the Department of Public Administration and International Affairs in the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs at Syracuse University. And a special welcome to those of you who couldn't be here in person today and are watching the ceremony around the world on the internet. I'm Ross Rubenstein, Associate Dean and Chair of the Department of Public Administration and International Affairs, and it is my honor to welcome you here today. It was exactly 360 days ago, July 5th, 2011, that most of us met for the first time in the MPA colloquium in Maxwell Auditorium across the quad in Maxwell Hall. And as you might remember, I told you that day to be prepared because before you know it, you will be sitting in Hendricks Chapel with your friends and family, getting ready to leave the Maxwell School. Well, that day has arrived, probably faster than most of you expected, and maybe faster than you wanted. A year ago, you came to Maxwell from all parts of the United States and from 19 countries. Today, you're here as the Maxwell MPA graduating class of 2012. I know this has been a challenging year, and I hope also a rewarding year for all of you. As the students know, and as their friends and family probably have heard on numerous occasions throughout the year, this program runs almost continuously, nonstop, for one full year. The typical break between ending one class and starting the next is Saturday and Sunday, if you're lucky. On top of that hectic pace, we load up students with long reading lists, homework assignments, papers, presentations, and of course, the dreaded group projects. And you never know what challenges Mother Nature will deliver. For example, this year, we all had to suffer through 80-degree temperatures in March. And the humiliation of losing the Golden Snowball, awarded annually to the snowiest city in New York State, to Rochester. But nevertheless, you survived and persevered. Over the past year, you've learned to speak with confidence and authority in front of groups large and small. You've prepared some of the most exquisite PowerPoint decks and flexible spreadsheet budgets the world has ever seen. You've developed ways to succinctly explain even the most complex problems and solutions to people riding in elevators with you. You've learned a new language during your time here. For example, you can drop the word heteroscedasticity into virtually any conversation. And you can estimate the price elasticity of everything from a bushel of grain in sub-Saharan Africa to a beer on flip night at Fagan's. And you can say with 95% confidence that Maxwell MPAs are significantly higher performing than graduates of other MPA programs. Absolutely. Okay, it's easy to poke fun at some of the content of the public administration curriculum and some of the hoops that you've jumped through over the past year. But long after some of the esoteric language of this year fades, and after you've left the Maxwell School for new careers, my colleagues and I hope that you will make a contribution in service to others, regardless of the professional journey that you begin and regardless of the sector that you work in. I hope that we've provided you with the knowledge and skills to make that contribution. By providing service to others, you will put into practice the words of the Athenian oath that we will recite at the close of the ceremony today. If we've done our job well, over this past year, the perspective that we've offered, the blending of statistics and quantitative methods, economics, management, budgeting, the political context of public administration, along with an array of policy and management specializations, will help you to navigate the challenges that you will undoubtedly face with the force of reason as well as passion. As you'll see today, our public administration program and convocation has a number of traditions. First, we're very proud of the fact that our students come from all over the world. The 19 flags on the stage behind me reflect the countries of the students in the 2012 class. And it's our custom to have an international student offer a greeting to our guests. Will Rosa Vasileva please come to the stage? While Rosa is coming up here, let me tell you a little bit about her. She's a Fulbright student from St. Petersburg, Russia. She studied at the University of Northern Iowa as an exchange student in 2008 and received her undergraduate degree in public relations at Herzen State Pedagogical University of Russia in 2010. Before she started the MPA program at the Maxwell School, she spent 5 years working for the American Councils for International Education, primarily with the Future Leaders Exchange Program, as a recruiting assistant and program coordinator. At Maxwell, Rosa's interests were in nonprofit management and international development. Rosa was the graduate student organization representative for the Maxwell Public Administration Council, or MaxPAC. She also led the Russian language table at the Moynihan European Research Centers and actively participated in other graduate student organizations, meetings, and activities. Rosa?
On behalf of the Masters of Public Administration class of 2012, it is my honor to welcome you all this morning to our convocation ceremony. Today, more than ever, we're thankful to our families, friends, professors, the Maxwell School's professional staff, and everyone who supported us during the program in the United States and abroad. Many of you have traveled from afar to be part of this ceremony today, and we appreciate it. We deeply appreciate your presence with us as we honor and recognize our accomplishments throughout the year. Seems just like yesterday we arrived here as a diverse group of students, and today we're leaving sharing the Maxwell School's values of citizenship, integrity, and common well-being. Now, we're prepared to exemplify those ideals through our careers and lives, wherever they may take us. Classmates, family, friends, faculty, and staff, welcome to the MPA class of 2012 convocation ceremony.
Thank you very much, Rosa. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you Michael Wasilenko, Senior Associate Dean of the Maxwell School. Dean Wasilenko is also a professor of economics and a past chair of the Department of Economics. He's been on the Maxwell School faculty since 1986 and began serving as the Maxwell School's Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Administration in 2003. As an academic, Dean Wasilenko specializes in public finance issues and has taught and published extensively on state and local finance, firm location, tax incentives, and population decentralization within metropolitan areas. Instructing and advising both undergraduate and graduate students, he was the 1994 recipient of the College of Arts and Sciences William Wasserstrom Award for outstanding graduate teaching. And he, like many others here at Maxwell, truly embodies the core principle of the Athenian Oath. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Senior Associate Dean Michael Wasilenko. Mike.
Thank you, Ross. Well, good morning and welcome to the Maxwell School Master of Public Administration Convocation. I bring you greetings from Dean James Steinberg, who unfortunately couldn't be here. He is at a gathering of most influential people in the world, and just decided that he would let me take his role here. I'm no stranger to this, and I'm just delighted to do it. It's my privilege to welcome our most recent graduates, as well as their families and friends, the Maxwell faculty and staff, and our many alumni and supporters. Some are here, and as Ross has already noted, others are watching from remote locations. This is a wonderful occasion, not just for the newly mentored master's degree students who have worked hard to reach this day, but also for their families and others who supported your efforts in many different ways and whom I know share a sense of pride on this happy occasion. So I'd ask you, graduates, to join me and the faculty in a round of applause for the families. Thank you. This is a special occasion for all of us up here, too. The faculty takes special satisfaction in moving a class from a group with strong potential to one with professional skills and judgment needed to accomplish a range of career goals. And I need not remind our dedicated faculty that we welcome a new class with all good potential next week. I want to acknowledge the faculty who have dedicated themselves to this wonderful program and to its students, and who work hard every day to make it better. I ask you to join me in a round of applause in appreciation of the faculty. I also want to thank distinguished alums John Barry and John Perry for being with us today. You will hear more about them in a few minutes. To our graduates, you are always in the Maxwell Worldwide Circle. Good luck to you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. The Department of Public Administration and International Affairs has an award called the Burkhead Award, named after Guthrie Burkhead, the 6th Dean of the Maxwell School, and the late Jesse Burkhead, no relation incidentally, who was Professor of Economics and Public Administration. The award recognizes teaching excellence by a faculty member in the Department of Public Administration and International Affairs, and the selection is made by a committee of faculty and students. The recipient of the award is asked to give the faculty address at the following year's convocation. Last year's Burkhead recipient was Professor Rosemary O'Leary, and she will address you today. First, let me tell you a little bit about Rosemary O'Leary. Professor O'Leary is the Howard G. and S. Louise Fansteel Chair in Strategic Management and Leadership. As an elected member of the National Academy of Public Administration, she's the author or editor of 10 books and more than 100 articles on public management and public policy. She's won 9 national research awards, including Best Book in Public and Nonprofit Management for 2000, given by the Academy of Management, Best Book in Environmental Management and Policy for 2005 and 1999, given by the American Society for Public Administration, and the Mosier Award for Best Article by an academician in Public Administration Review, which she has won twice. She's the only person to win 3 awards from the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration, the Distinguished Research Award, the Excellence in Teaching Award, and the Best Dissertation Award. In 2003, Rosemary was awarded the Syracuse University Chancellor's Citation for Exceptional Academic Achievement, the highest research award at the university. And if any of you happened to see video of last year's convocation when she won this award, then you also know that she is destined to one day appear on Dancing with the Stars. Please welcome Rosemary O'Leary.
Thank you, Ross. Well, congratulations. You did it. Yes, you did it. You survived the Maxwell School's 12-month program, and you're still standing. You are tougher than nails. Yes. Out of the 12 months of this program, this is my favorite day. Some of you know that I am a student or a researcher of organization culture and symbolism in organizations. What you put on the wall, who you put on the walls, where you place the walls, what you reward, what you punish is all symbolic, and it all sends an important message. So I love the symbolism of the flags behind the faculty in front of you. I love that it reminds us that we are a global program, that you are global. I love that it reminds us that some of the best solutions to our most pressing public policy problems may have already been implemented in other countries, and we can learn from them. It also reminds us to think beyond the borders of the United States and to collaborate with other countries to solve our most pressing public policy problems. I also love the symbolism of all these professors on stage because we are here to honor you. As Ross said, you have survived PA in democracy, budgeting, finance, statistics, economics, organizations and management, readings, exams, team projects. You've been pushed and you've been prodded and you've been tested. But we're here to honor you because you inspire us. I also love the symbolism of your friends and family here, your spouses, your partners, your children who are gathered in this great hall of learning. They're here to celebrate your success because you inspire them. You're awesome. You did it. So all of this symbolism is a reminder of the importance of symbols as you become public and nonprofit leaders. What do we call this in organizations and management? Anybody remember? Oh God, please, somebody. Artifacts. Remember, artifacts, they're the external representation of the organization. The CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, once said, "Everything matters." But somebody way more important than Howard Schultz said that way before Howard Schultz said it. My mother. My mother, Mary Jane O'Leary, is a psychologist, and when I had a baby 18 years ago, she came to visit, and I'm holding this little infant in my arms, and she said, "From this day forward, everything you say to this kid, everything you do to this child matters, so don't screw it up." And so it is with your journey as you walk out the door today. Everything matters. Everything you say, everything you do, everything that you choose to be symbolic in your careers as public and nonprofit leaders counts. For example, when I worked for the NASA Return to Flight Task Group after the Columbia Space Shuttle accident, they used to tell us, assume that every email you send will end up on the front page of the Washington Post, because everything matters. A former city management friend of mine likes to say, you get one chance in life to cheat, to steal as a nonprofit leader. One chance. After that, no one will want to play with you, no one will want to work with you, nobody will trust you, nobody will want to hire you. It's never worth it. Everything matters. So you inspire us with your honesty and your ethics. But most of all, you inspire us with your optimism and your audacity. And by that I mean you had the optimism to leave wherever your home is. Many of you traveled hundreds of miles, some thousands of miles, some 2 miles, to come here to brave the blizzards of Syracuse, New York. And boy, did you get off easy. But you also had the audacity to know that you can make a difference, that you can change the world. You inspire us. Now, there are some boxes at the ends of the rows, and I'm like whoever's sitting next to the box, if you could open those up, please. There are some bags inside the boxes. If you could take a bag and pass it on and make sure that everybody in your class gets a bag, that would be great. So we're going to pause for a minute while these bags are distributed. There should be some on this side for sure. Oh, there they are. There's one. There should be another box. You got it? Okay. Yes, you may look inside. So parents, families, visitors, what they are getting is a bag, like a sandwich bag, full of artifacts. The word you couldn't remember. Does everybody have a bag? How about the back row over here? Does everybody have a bag? You're good? Okay. Okay, so graduates, what's the first thing you notice about this bag? That's good. I'm coming to that. Okay, it's what they're made of. They're 100% compostable, biodegradable bags, non-toxic, made sustainably. These are to remind you that whether you work for an environmental organization or not, people will look to you to protect the environment. They will look to you for leadership to protect our environmental and natural resources. Don't screw it up. The next thing you'll notice, somebody just yelled out, is they're open. Notice that these bags are not sealed shut. They're open to symbolize that you, as public officials, are open to the public. Anyone can say, I'm the expert. I don't need to hear anything from you, the public, because I know it all. Or anybody can say, it'll never work. It'll never work. The challenge for you and for all public officials is to remain open to working collaboratively with the public. We've had great success, for example, coaching some scientists in the U.S. Department of Interior in what we call the 50-50 rule. They're the experts on science. They know the facts. They know the history of the challenge. But we tell them that's only 50% of the equation. The other 50% is this. Listening. Listening to others, listening to the public, listening to the residents, listening to those who are concerned, because they may just very well have ideas that will help solve our most pressing public policy problems. Next, inside the bag, you'll see a little mirror. The mirror is there to encourage you to ask yourself this question every day. Have I made a difference? Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, did I make a difference today? It was a pivotal moment in my career when I worked in government, when I looked in the mirror and said, did I make a difference today? And I had to say, ew, I didn't. I didn't. That's when I knew it was time for me to change jobs. Is the world a better place because you were here? Is even one life better because you're on the job? That's what you ask yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. Next, there are just a couple more things in that bag, is a sticker of planet Earth to remind you, again, that you are global, you are international, to remind you to look beyond the narrow confines of your country, beyond the narrow confines of your organization, because we're all in this together, and we're only going to solve these problems if we work together. Next is a stick of gum, representing what? Sorry, this one's pretty lame. And apologies to John Barry. I really looked for an artifact that would represent workforce diversity, our growing multicultural and multi-ethnic societies, and I couldn't find anything. So I substituted a stick of gum to remind you to stick with it. Ha ha ha. Stick with your efforts to honor diversity and to promote tolerance. Inside your bag is a nail to remind you that you are tougher than nails, and you've got to be tough. When I was in government, we used to say, you can have a mandate from God and somebody will criticize you. And those were our supporters. You are embarking on a career in a fishbowl because we all need and we want transparency in government. You're a Maxwell grad. You will be tough, realizing that the public does have a right to know. Inside the bag, there are 3 more things. There is an eraser to remind you that you will make mistakes. If you look at the literature on creativity and examine how improv actors do their craft, the mantra is, make mistakes, please. That's because that's how you grow and change and innovate. And the eraser is also there to remind you to fix it when you do screw up. There is a lifesaver in your bag to remind you to ask for help when you need it. It really used to bother me when people would say, "Do you need help?" And my default setting was, "I'm fine. I don't need help." Or as a NASA engineer once said to me, "I don't need no stinking help." But somewhere along the line, my default setting changed to saying, "I can use all the help that I can get." If your goal is to serve the public wherever you are, why wouldn't you be open to receiving help to make your product or program better? Okay, now my cheesy side. In your bag is a cotton ball and a chocolate hug, symbolizing warm fuzzies and the people you love. You want to strive for a balanced life, because if you are totally exhausted from working 80, 90-hour work weeks without any halt to it, you will be of no help to anyone. We have a Maxwell grad who works for the Keystone Center, for example, and part of her annual evaluation concerns how well she maintains her work-life balance. Too much time in the office, and she receives a negative evaluation. Finally, there's one more artifact in your bag that I want to point out, and that's the Maxwell pen. And that represents two things. The first is it represents a pen. Note that it is not a text, it is not a tweet, it is not an email. It represents a pen used in old-fashioned communication, like writing. If anybody wants me to explain writing to them after the ceremony, I'll meet you out in the hallway. You have learned the importance of using social media to communicate with the public, and that's fantastic. Keep doing it. But I worry about what others have called the internationalization of superficiality. Anyone can be the public servant version of Paris Hilton, all facade and no substance. Anyone can be the nonprofit version of Kim Kardashian, sending out a barrage of vacuous tweets and emails. But you are a Maxwell grad, and you inspire us with the depth of your evidence-based decisions and the integrity with which you use social media. The other thing that this pen represents is that, of course, you're part of the Maxwell family, which we call the Maxwell Mafia, with great fondness. Lean on each other, rely on each other, keep in touch with each other. Some of my very best friends today are people I met when I was in graduate school here 25 years ago. And please keep in touch with us. You are our best. You are the best that the world has to offer. Think about it, parents and visitors. What could possibly be better than people who want to dedicate their lives to serving the public? You are the best. So you inspire us with your optimism that we can all do better, and you inspire us with the audacity to know that you can change the world. Congratulations.
Thank you, Rosemary, for that wonderful address. I saw some anxious faces as the bags were being passed out, maybe thinking we might have one last final exam in store for you. We probably wouldn't do that to you. We'll see. Each year in winter, we begin planning this MPA convocation, and we brainstorm about possible speakers. We think about individuals who have been successful, who've worked in high-level positions in government, the nonprofit sector, or the private sector, or some combination of those. And we also try to select a convocation speaker who is an alumna or alumnus of the Maxwell School. This year, we are very honored to have a distinguished speaker who meets all of these criteria. I'm very pleased to introduce John Berry as the 2012 convocation speaker. You have John Berry's biography in your program, but let me highlight a few of his many accomplishments. John Berry is director of the Office of Personnel Management for the United States federal government. As the director, he is responsible for recruiting, hiring, and setting benefits policies for 1.9 million federal civilian employees. Mr. Berry is working to fulfill President Obama's charge to make government cool again by developing flexible, results-oriented HR policies and working to change how Americans view their public servants. His goal is to build a workforce of dynamic innovators who put serving the American people at the heart of everything they do. Mr. Berry has over 25 years of experience in the federal government. He first developed expertise in federal employee and retirement issues during 10 years as legislative director for Congressman Steny Hoyer of Maryland. During the Clinton administration, Mr. Berry served as Deputy Assistant Secretary and Acting Assistant Secretary for Law Enforcement at the Department of the Treasury, where he had direct line authority over 40% of the federal law enforcement community, including the Secret Service and the ATF. He then served as Assistant Secretary for Policy Management and Budget at the Department of the Interior. From 2001 to 2008, John Berry pursued his interest in conservation as Director of the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and then as Director of the National Zoo. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not note that he is an alum, having earned his MPA degree from Maxwell in 1981. Please join me in welcoming John Berry.
Thank you, Ross, for that kind introduction. It is an honor to be up here with other distinguished alums, John Perry. It's great to be here for someone who's dedicated his life to our state and local government and public policy in our country. And I want to give a special shout out because the one professor on the stage who was here when I sat in your seats and who is the only reason I passed statistics was Professor Larry Schroeder. God bless you. Thank you so much. Graduates, congratulations. Congratulations to each of you, and also, as has been said, to your parents, your professors, and your loved ones who have raised you up, who've taught you, and have stood by you. It is very good to be back in this beloved section of New York, though I remember it to be a lot snowier. And I think those tough winters give our Syracuse alums an advantage when they get to Washington, D.C., because everything's frozen up there, too. Now, when I began the MPA program back in 1980, things were a little different. You actually had to pick up the phone to know who was calling you. A tumbler was a kind of cup. And Angry Birds was the plot of a very scary Alfred Hitchcock movie. In 1980, milk was $2.16 a gallon, and my undergraduate tuition at the University of Maryland, gasp, was $442 a semester. Told you. Today's graduates often owe too heavy a debt in loans, and it is a heavy chain holding you back, and one that my generation has got to help you find a way to break. Perhaps most unbelievable of all was back in 1980, Democrats and Republicans were often friends and regularly worked together, even in the Congress, to get things done. Now today, our politics have grown divided, deeply divided. And compromise is too often seen as a failure. But that is not the way it should work. So here is your challenge. Heal the nation. No one party has a lock on the truth. No one party has every solution. Our debates need a lot less anger and irony and a whole lot more humility. They should be about thinking through solutions and arriving at compromises that make the best sense for our country. Now, how do we get beyond the sort of the yelling and the finger pointing? I always try to ask myself 3 questions to remind myself of where is the core. Is this how I would treat myself? What uplifts the weak? What defends the rights of the unpopular? Now, I also try, and as Rosemary mentioned, leading by example is one of the strongest things you can do. I was sworn into office by a dear friend and a longtime mentor, Constance Newman. Now, Connie was appointed the first African American director of OPM by President George Herbert Walker Bush, and she is a passionate Republican. Now, I recognize that it's kind of hard to ask you to rally for a call to compromise. But I want you, our brightest up-and-comers, to break the gridlock that is now too common. Find ways to work with people who disagree with you, and make sure the Hunger Games remain a fantasy and never a reality. Now, this is going to take some time, and it will take changing many minds. But minds do change. I grew up at a time when being gay was clearly not okay. And yet I knew I was from a very early age. I learned to hide it. I knew when I sat in your chairs, but I had hid it because I was afraid my God didn't love me. I was afraid that my family would reject me, especially my conservative father. And I was afraid that my dream of a career in public service would forever be deferred. Now, from your perspective today, this all probably seems pretty silly. But times were different back then. In 1957, just before I was born, a man named Frank Kameny was fired from his federal job solely for being gay. Now, this was a man who had fought his way foxhole to foxhole across Europe in World War II in the Army with Patton. He came home and earned his PhD from Harvard in astronomy, and then was told he was unfit to serve. In fact, he was called a security risk, a criminal, and a pervert by the head of the Office of Civil Service, the office that I now hold. Frank, thankfully, fought back. He fought all the way to the Supreme Court, when even the ACLU backed out, and he lost. But he persisted. And he joined together with allies, and slowly, very slowly, he changed opinions and laws. Psychiatrists stopped counting homosexuality as a disease. And laws finally stopped counting gays as criminals. Because Frank demanded equal treatment, he made my career possible. And he lived to win our agency's highest award, named for the most famous holder of my office, Teddy Roosevelt, and given rarely for the defense of the principle that in America you should be judged only by how well you do the job and nothing else. Now, as for myself, I faced my fears. I drew strength from my faith, and I found joy in the extravagant and all-encompassing love of God. I spoke to my family and my father. Now, when I came out, my dad asked me never to bring my partner to the house. And this was hard because we were a close family. that gathered every Sunday for dinner, even after we'd all left home. 10 years later, when my partner lay dying from AIDS, it was my father, a man who had survived the Great Depression and Guadalcanal, who held him in his arms, weeping and saying, "I love you," like my own son. Wounds do heal. Minds do change. That is the value of truth. It lays a bedrock of certainty that the sand of half-truths cannot rival. Be true to yourself and to your values, because the world needs the whole you. We need each and every one of you. And if you hold back, or if you are held back by prejudice, or by fear of failure, or by cynicism, it is our world that will miss out. We need the power of your diversity, the passion of your religion, the energy of your age, and the strength of your family and home. You know, we often today think of diversity as a concept that was born in the 1960s. But think about it just for a moment. The first person killed in the American Revolution was Crispus Attucks, a black man with Wampanoag ancestry who died at the Boston Massacre in 1770. In 1863, Corporal Joseph H. DeCastro carried the Massachusetts flag into the battle at Gettysburg, and with only his flagpole as a weapon, struck down the onslaught of Pickett's charge, and thereby earned the honor of becoming the first Hispanic awarded the Medal of Honor. In 1883, the world's longest suspension bridge opened in New York. It was taller than any structure in the Western Hemisphere. The Brooklyn Bridge, an engineering marvel of its day that was managed through construction by a woman, Emily Roebling. And the moonshot, the average age in Neil Armstrong's mission control in Houston, 26. 26. Throughout all our history, the motto sparkles, E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. Diversity made America, and it makes America great. Our nation is the freest one in the world. And I would argue it is because we have been able to unlock the potential of our people, their creativity and their optimism, more so than any other nation. And the good news for you is this: our best days lie before us and before you. Each of you can serve your country in any way that you can imagine. And I hope that you will consider government service, because I have found it to be a place where you can do great good and on a scale that simply can't be beat. And we just launched a new program, and I think you're going to like the name of it. It's called Recent Graduates. And it goes into effect next week. And it will give you 2 years where you can easily join the federal government after you graduate. So I hope you'll look into it. But wherever you go, whether it's in the public sector, the private sector, or the nonprofit sector, do good. And if you find yourself working for a bad person, walk away. No matter how much money they're giving you, no matter how much power they're offering you, walk away. Let me leave you with one final thought, and it is about your moment in history. You know, recorded human history is only 6,000 years. It's not that long when you think about it. But think about what one lifetime, what's happened since I sat in your chairs. We have decoded the human genome, walked on the moon, and sent our space shuttle, which just retired, over 140 million miles. There is no engineering comparison. Research that took us, when we were in your shoes, 2 days and 3 trips to the library, you now do with 2 thumbs and 3 minutes. If the printing press launched the age of reason, what wonders are the smartphones in your pockets going to unlock for the world? More is possible today than ever before. And I say this humbly. You are better than all of us. We expect more from you. Make something great. Make it so wonderful that ages 1,000 years from now will look back like we do now to the age of Pericles or to the Renaissance and say, that is what humans can achieve and accomplish. Make an age worthy of a name. Make us proud, even prouder than everyone sitting here today. May God bless your every effort, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much, John, for those very heartfelt remarks. On behalf of the Maxwell School, we'd also like to ask you to please accept this small token of our appreciation for your time and your remarks. Thank you. Well, as I mentioned earlier, high-quality teaching is a hallmark of the faculty of the Department of Public Administration and International Affairs, and we recognize one of our own through the Burkhead Award. Professor Rosemary O'Leary will make the presentation of the 2012 Burkhead Award. Rosemary?
What's that word again? Artifact. The Burkhead Award is an artifact. The very best part of being a professor in our department is teaching and working with students, and that is 100% truthful statement. Ours is a department that highly values teaching. We really do have a very strong culture that quality teaching is what's expected. The Burkhead Award was started over a decade ago to honor quality teaching in our department and to strengthen that culture of quality teaching. So, I don't know how many of you know this, but the average course evaluation for all professors in our department is consistently above a 3.5 out of 4.0. If you average all of course evaluation sections, every single question that you filled out, that's remarkable and unique, at least from my perspective. It's not what I was used to at the other place I used to teach. So you can imagine that we had many, many nominees for the Burkhead Award. And every one of them, honestly, was deserving, every single one of them. The committee, consisting of 4 professors, an MPA student, an executive ed student, and a PhD student, debated for a long time whether or not we should give the award to 2 people, because it was such a tough choice. But in the end, we chose one person as the Teacher of the Year. So let me tell you something about the winner. She consistently has course evaluations in the top 10% of our department, ranging in around 3.9, 4.0, and has done this for 5 years. The students who nominated her told us she is engaging, she is high energy, she is passionate about teaching, she's a great facilitator of thought and discussion, and she is inspiring. You told us she makes technical information accessible, she asks provocative questions, she's challenging. She has creatively incorporated technology in the classroom. You also told us she is highly accessible to students outside of class. She puts an amazing amount of work and thought into her lesson plans, and that you learned a remarkable amount from her this year. And so, it is with great pleasure that I announce that the winner of the 2012 Burkhead Teaching Award is Professor Tina Nabachi.
Thanks, everyone. I just got really nervous. Is this how you felt during the advisory committee hearings and your elevator speeches? I'm overwhelmed by all of your kind words. When I read the course evaluations, I always get stuck on the part that says, Nabachi assigns too much reading, and she focuses too much on theory. So hearing all the compliments is really great, and I'm so honored to join other winners of this award because they are amazing teachers here. I mean, just really awesome. So thank you for nominating me. Thank you for everything you said. There is just one problem, though. While I give, apparently at least in your estimation, really brilliant lectures about the tensions between bureaucracy and democracy, or the fascinating world of citizen participation and administrative ethics, or the importance of organizational structure and networks, I feel far less confident in my abilities to give an inspirational, witty, motivating commencement speech. So, Ross, I am not giving you another final exam, but I am giving you one last assignment. In the nature of participation, I will be asking all of you to send me a great sentence or 2 or more that I can steal and use in the commencement speech last year, because I doubt that I can follow the speeches that came this year. Please, I'm serious. Sentences, please. Seriously though, I'm really touched by your words. I'm really honored to receive this award. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. In my heart of hearts, I know that pursuing a public service career is one of the most noble pursuits a person can undertake, and I'm really proud of all of you. Now, more than ever, we need a cadre of smart, dedicated people who are going to go out and change the world, and that's you. I'm so excited to see what you do. So go forward boldly, with caution, live your dreams, and use your powers for good. Thanks again. I wish you guys all the success, fun, and most importantly, happiness you can have. Thank you. Way to go. You guys rock.
Congratulations, Tina. That is a very well-deserved honor. You now have 1 year to prepare that speech, not to make you nervous. Thank you to all of you who nominated faculty members and took the time to write letters and become engaged in the process. We very much appreciate it. About 110 students are being recognized today. You've come from all over the United States and all over the world. Some of you came to us freshly out of undergraduate studies with little or no professional experience. Some of you came to us with substantial professional work experience. Some of you have been juggling work, graduate school, and parenting. And so for those of you in the latter category, we offer a special bravo to you. I want to acknowledge also some of the ways that all of you have contributed to the quality of our programs, the quality of life in the Maxwell School, and also at Syracuse University and in the city of Syracuse. The student group known as MaxPAC has been active this year under the leadership of Ryan Martin. We all applaud their strong community involvement, charitable activities, along with their efforts to strengthen class identity and promote professional development. The International Relations Student Association, or IRSA, led by Stacy Lemery, has worked closely with MaxPAC this year to organize many successful events throughout the year, including Maxwelloween, International Trivia Nights, a 3-day networking trip to Washington, D.C., a cultural fair focusing on the impacts of media, and the Maxwell Formal. The Women's Caucus deserves recognition for their creative programming and community involvement. This year's group, led by Natalie Leary, promoted professional development and community service through a spring fundraiser benefiting Girls Inc., brown bag sessions with professors, and cocktails with the women of Maxwell. I'd also like to acknowledge Compass, which has been led this year by Faith Abiadoun, and its many contributions hosting lecturers, student dialogues on subjects ranging from modern Chinese society to urban decline in Syracuse to the challenges of state building in Nigeria. In addition, Compass established a relationship with Danforth Middle School by organizing the Going Global Seminar Series, an avenue through which select Maxwell students spoke to Danforth students about various topics in international affairs. Policy Students for Fiscal Sustainability, led by David Frazier, hosted talks with experts in defense and national security, tax policy, education and budget policy, and developed ties with other student organizations to ensure that discussions about budget sustainability permeate as many possible fields as possible. SUPRA, the Syracuse University Program for Refugee Assistance, led this year by Michelle Malecki, is a group of Maxwell and law students who teach ESL classes to refugees on Syracuse's north side. The group also prepared a Thanksgiving meal and presentations for their students and hosted a Citizenship Information Day to help refugees and immigrants in the area find out more about the citizenship process. Last but not least, I'd like to recognize a brand new student group, the Education Policy Inquiry Club, or EPIC. Led by Mike Runestad, the group already has over 40 members, and in their inaugural year, their activities included lectures, career workshops, and a number of fundraising activities on behalf of local schools. And now we've reached the point in the program that all of you and your family and friends have been waiting for, when each of you will walk across the stage of Hendricks Chapel. Your names will be read by the faculty, as well as by Nell Bartkowiak, Associate Director for Student Services, and Christine Omolino, Associate Director for Christine Omolino, Director for Admissions and Financial Aid. Now.
Faith Abiodun. Carol Aguirre. Alia Alali. Zachary Anderson. Kevin Arts. Karen Abel. Mariana Becerril Chavez.
Congratulations, everyone. Jeremy Begay. Christopher Bianchi. Lindsay Bullinger. Jordan Butler. Anthony Carello. Natalia Carazosa. Ruth Chan.
Good morning and congratulations to you all. Rita Chang. Biva Chapagan. Yun Chen. Tamara Cheng. Jason Chiesa. Minhei Choi. Rabia Chaudhry.
Stephen Cooper. Erica Copeland. Juan Pablo Cuesta Aguirre. Thomas Dannon. Charles DeLuca. Kyle Doran. Gregory Duggan.
Martina Durant. Kaya Edwards. Mark Irwin. Sorabel Felice. Stephanie Figueri. Catherine Foley. David Frazier.
Alvaro Galvez. Viviana Garay Estepa. Allison Goldsmith. Dimitri Gorfinkel. Soren Gray. Mira Green. Rachel Green.
Toma Gregorian. Hannah Hill. Natasha Hines. Brian Hopkins. Amy Johnson. Ethan Jorgensen Earp. Jeffrey Keeson.
Kevin Krupski. Justin Lawrence. Natalie Leary. Yoon Kyung Lee. Melanie Leese. Ling Liang. Chian Len.
Catherine Lindemann. Erica Lopez Finn. Monique Lowry. James McCauley. No. Michelle Malaki.
Amy McCluskey. Aaron McGuinness, Aniluz Mercedes, Gabriel Mersaidi, Taylor Murray, Brendan Neal, and Caroline Nielsen.
Kota Omaya. Namrata Prati. Way to go, Kota. Congratulations. Meredith Basaris. Avni Patel. Alex Payne. William Joseph Relbovsky. Sergio Ramos Zamorano.
Gregory Rieger. Laura Rodriguez Ortiz. Way to go. Shannon Rosenberg. Heather Ruby. Michael Runestad. Saeed Mahdi Sanglaki. Thomas Shabo.
Beatrice Schuerman. Jonathan Schlosser. Caitlin Schultz. Carl Scruggs. Emily Seddon. Laura Sapansky Pimentel. Hillary Shackelford.
Joseph Ferrari Simon. Mandeep Singh. Arlene Smith. Amy Solar Doherty. Allison Sprott Rowan. Anna Stewart.
Brian Joseph Stone.
Ro Takahashi. Lindsay Teepee. Waimang Tien. Sarah Turner. Rosa Vasileva.
Michelle Vaca. Alexander Veneziano. Andrea Webster. Benjamin Wilhelm. Mariela Zapata. Jessica Zhang.
Let's have one more round of applause for all of the 2012 graduates. Job well done to all of you. In looking at your program, please note that the student address is named after Brady K. Howell, a member of the class of 2000 who lost his life on September 11th, 2001, while working at his desk in the Office of Naval Intelligence in the Pentagon. 12 years ago today, Brady sat in your seats, and like you, he had hopes and dreams that tragically were cut short on that fateful day. The faculty and staff named the student address after Brady beginning in 2002 as a way to honor his memory. The Brady K. Howell student address will be given today by Justin Lawrence. And as Justin comes to the podium, let me tell you a little bit about him. Justin grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. In 2007, he graduated from Kalamazoo College with a bachelor's degree in political science and history. From there, he worked at an international NGO based in Toronto. He began as program coordinator for a school-based global citizenship program funded by Oprah's Angel Network. Additionally, he traveled overseas with youth and families to implement the organization's development projects in rural Kenya and Ecuador. After that, Justin spent 2 years working as a community organizer and development communications officer for a social services agency in Kentucky. Here at Maxwell, Justin has pursued courses in program evaluation and international development, and is pursuing monitoring and evaluation within sub-Saharan Africa. While at Maxwell, he was a graduate assistant for Professor Catherine Bertini in the Moynihan Institute of Global Affairs. His other venerable positions while at Maxwell included Chili Cook-Off Coordinator, Award Show Co-Host, and most recently, Pig Roast Commissioner. Justin?
Oh, man. Thank you so much for that introduction. I told myself I wouldn't get emotional, but that pig roast is so good. You've probably noticed by now that I've done two things. One, I haven't brought up a fan, and two, I'm still wearing my suit jacket. So if you see me start to collapse while I'm doing this speech, please, you all fans, kick it towards my way. I'm having a nice ceremony, I'd hate to ruin it now. So I was actually pretty nervous for this speech, and so in order to adequately prepare, I dug into a fair amount of research about Maxwell's history, and I came across an astounding discovery. Did you realize that Dr. Seuss actually received his MPA from the Maxwell School? Silence, yeah, you're shocked, you're shocked. You know why? Because you check the internet and, there's other inferior public policy schools that kind of spread a lot of disinformation. Kennedy School. But it's the truth. It's the truth, and I can prove it because I also found this. This right here is a collection of all the capstone projects that happened the year of Dr. Seuss's graduation. It also contains his first children's book never published, and it's entirely about his year at the Maxwell School. So rather than me pontificating about public service, and for those of you who have had classes with me, you know I'm very capable of doing that, I thought I'd share with you his book instead. A boy named John was beside himself with grief, 2 years in the Peace Corps, but still no world relief. There was poverty, war, famine, and violence, and our policy lacked any semblance of sense. John tried to get a job to tackle this mess, but his poli-sci bachelors did little to impress. Then one night, he heard a rap on the door. He had no idea the life change in store. A visitor told him, "John, there's another way. Come with me to Maxwell and get an MPA." Eureka! This degree furthers my life mission. I'll get that MPA. Forget cost of tuition. John left on the spot, told Starbucks he quit. That master's will make his resume legit. By September, he whined, "Why did I choose Cuse? Just so I could suffer this constant mental abuse. Economics, org design, correlations, there are square. Why am I budgeting for a local daycare?" You say profs are a different species? Try another phylum. Because at Maxwell, the inmates are running the asylum. And I know fellow students are the best of the best, but they aren't like people from the Midwest. There are Rabes, Hans and Rons, and Rosas so tall. And an active class prez sending surveys to all. Hi, Ryan Martin. But John rolled up his sleeves and put in the hours. And in the blink of an eye, summer turned to spring flowers. Coursework was tough to be sure, but downtime was raucous. Maxwelloween theme parties and a dance via Women's Caucus. Now the year's gone, and as graduation looms, John's happy to be the scary person in the room. He knows financials, econ, and program evaluation. He can analyze any complex policy situation. But on top of what he learned from all of his courses, John learned other people were the best of his resources. We make fun of professors, but all said and done, their mentorship keeps Maxwell at #1. And the family who supported him along the way, so he can proudly cross this stage here today. They loved him because he and other Maxwellians are willing to dig in and take their convictions this far. Dedicating their lives to the service of others, let's not forget John's MPA sisters and brothers. John lived, learned, and laughed with these colleagues all year. Without their friendship, he would not be standing here. Now, although John knows that try as he might, he won't be fixing world problems overnight. But as he looks at his peers, their conviction, dedication, he's got a pretty good feeling about this generation. The end. So fake Dr. Seuss books aside, the impact we have as public service students is largely unwritten. Although this year's chapter is closing on us here today, a larger one begins with us joining thousands of Maxwell alums who have been committing their lives to public service since 1924. We join an illustrious group of individuals that support us in countless ways. I mean, just this week we heard from two alums, Sean O'Keefe and Walter Broadnax, who between the two of them have held positions as Deputy Secretary of HHS, NASA Administrator, Secretary of the Navy, and both have been presidents and chancellors of major universities. They demonstrate to us the heights that our leadership can take us. We also, Dr. Rubenstein mentioned Brady Howell, who is a constant reminder for us and for classes after us the urgency and the importance of public service. Now, these are just a couple of prominent examples, but on an individual basis, we can all name our own alumni networks that are eager and selfless, guiding us into this professional world. And this support is crucial, because the problems we face today are complex, vitriolic, and daunting. As I stand here today, conflict rages in Syria, compromise has become a dirty word in Congress, and crippling poverty is entrenched both domestically and internationally. However, we're not sitting here because we choose the easy path. I see a cohort with deep-rooted values, a dedication to others, and an unwavering optimism and enthusiasm for social change. I am excited to graduate with all of you here today and to continue our journey to make the world a little bit more storybook than when we found it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justin. Apparently, we all need to spend more time combing through the Maxwell archives because you never know what you're going to find there. I learned something today. Each year, the Maxwell School identifies an alumnus from the public administration program to honor with an award at convocation. This award comes with an obligation, not unlike the degree itself. We invite the recipient to receive the award and also to lead our new graduates in the recitation of the Athenian Oath and to officially welcome them to their new lives as Maxwell alumni. This year, we recognize John Perry. You have the details in your program books, but let me tell you a little bit about him. John Perry served as village administrator for Woodridge, Illinois from 1989 to 2009, after serving as village manager in Park Forest, Illinois for 6 years. During his service in Woodridge, the community was named among the 100 best places to live by Money Magazine. He began his career as assistant to the manager in Park Forest and was promoted to assistant manager and deputy manager before taking over the top spot. He received an undergraduate degree from the University of Chicago and, of course, most importantly, an MPA from the Maxwell School. Mr. Perry has served in a number of leadership positions in municipal organizations. He chaired the Managers Committee of the Illinois Municipal League and the Planning Committee of the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference and served on its board of directors. Mr. Perry served on the DuPage County Emergency Telephone System Board and chaired the Interoperability Task Force. He was a founder of the Suburban Housing Coalition, now Diversity, Inc., and chaired the predecessor agency, the Fair Housing Legal Action Committee. Not surprisingly, this is not the first award that he has won. He received the Illinois City-County Management Association award. The Illinois City-County Management Association awarded him its highest honor, the Robert Morris Lifetime Achievement Award. He twice received the Intergovernmental Cooperation Award of the DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference and the exclusive Woodridge Building on Our Dream Award for outstanding contributions to community building, among many other awards. Mr. Perry now shares his expertise with the next generation, teaching local government management at the University of Illinois Chicago, as the author of Blueprint for Building Community, Leadership Insights for Good Government, and as a mentor to dozens of local government professionals. John, please come to the podium and offer remarks on behalf of all alumni, and then lead us in the recitation of the Athenian Oath.
Thank you, Ross, for that kind introduction. I very much appreciate it. I didn't realize until I sat on the stage listening to everyone else's speech that I would hear the inspiring words of John Barry, and they were certainly inspiring, and the story I very much appreciated. And I didn't know that we had an outstanding humorist, and somehow I would have to follow both of these folks. When I was here at Syracuse 40 years ago, I did not envision that I would be back here to receive this award. This was not part of the plan. I also did not envision that when I came back here that I would be known as an artifact. But I do recall that in my organization theory course about culture and artifacts, so I appreciate that, Rosemary. I still find it hard to believe that I am before you today to accept this recognition. I am extremely honored. Thank you to all those people who have contributed to my success, and there were many along the way, and my joy in public service. I stand before many of you who, like me, have placed their fate in the hands of the Maxwell School, and some of you who have contributed your entire life to shaping this institution. I want to recognize the contribution that Maxwell has made to my career. I came to Maxwell because I wanted the best education, and I wanted to be the best public administrator. I owe much to Maxwell and the leadership that it has provided for nearly 90 years in educating professionals in the public service. Thank you to the Maxwell team, past and present, that has fulfilled that tradition of citizen service. And as new Maxwell MPAs, welcome to the ranks of the alumni. I thank you for your commitment to public service. You have a challenging time ahead of you. I hope that you embrace that challenge and enjoy the excitement that every day brings to your work. After 40 years in public service, I have gained considerable insight about what you will encounter as you pursue your careers. I had planned to share some of that today. My two sons who have joined me today, and of which I'm very proud, gave me some advice from your generation. They said, "Dad, you are the last item on the program before the graduates exit to celebrate their accomplishment. Keep it short." So I'm going to honor their advice. I'm especially excited to be here today to participate in Convocation because I never had the opportunity when I was a Maxwell student. My year at Maxwell started in January and ended in January, a schedule required by my draft status and training for military service. I never made it to this ceremony. Therefore, I did not have the opportunity to recite the Athenian Oath to launch my career. At that time, it didn't seem to matter. Yet a guiding spirit in the tradition of Maxwell kept me on track and provided me an initial impetus to honor the role that citizens play in public service. I packed up my budget truck rental and departed Syracuse in January 1972 in a snowstorm, the same way I arrived a year before. A week later, I began my first job in Park Forest, Illinois. My first assignment on my first day was to draft a report for the town's mayor. I reviewed the mayor's prior reports on the subject that I was supposed to write about, which was the state of the village, somewhat like a state of the union for the community. The first report that I reviewed concluded with a special instruction. The mayor called on the residents of the community to heed the words of the Athenian Oath, to transmit the city better than how they found it. After I read his report and his regard for the oath, I knew that my choice of public service and my Maxwell education was the right choice. You now have an education that provides you special status to serve the public. Your career will not be distinguished, however, by your special educational status, but by your work as a citizen of your community, of your state, of your nation, and of the world. Citizen first, public administrator second. Let me share my hopes and dreams for your career in public service. I hope that every day your work will fulfill your passion for public service. I hope that every day you will finish your work with a sense of accomplishment. And I hope that every day you will help fulfill the dreams and sacred things of your citizens. Please stand and join with me in reciting the Athenian Oath. We will strive for the ideals and sacred things of the city, both alone and with many. We will unceasingly seek to quicken the sense of public duty. We will revere and obey the city's laws. We will transmit the city not only not less, but greater, better, and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. Go out and do it. Good luck. All the best.
Thank you very much. And also on behalf of the Maxwell School, in recognition of winning the Alumni Award, we actually have a couple of small tokens of our appreciation. So you will never forget us. You have a picture. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, at this point in the ceremony, I would be remiss if I did not thank our wonderful public administration and international affairs staff for all of their hard work in planning this event and for all of their superb work all throughout the year. So please join me in thanking Associate Director for Student Services, Nell Bartkowiak, and Director for Admissions and Financial Aid, Christine Molino. I also want to recognize, and I think most of them are in the back of the auditorium, Andrea Acey, Heather Binion, Tammy Del Costello-Emmy, Janice Gray, and Josh Kennedy. Not only for, again, a fantastic job with this convocation, but for everything that they do throughout the year. Also, a very special thank you to Kathleen Fenney, who attended to every detail of this event so that this convocation day would go off without a hitch and be special and memorable for every one of you. So thank you very much, Kathleen. I also want to acknowledge the dedicated career and alumni services staff, Norma Shannon, Kelly Young, Jennifer O'Shea, and Lauren Meyer. Also our new Associate Dean for External Affairs, Larry Weinberg, for making the live streaming and all of this filming possible. Finally, a program like this is only as good as its faculty. So please, everyone, all of you, stand up, the faculty. You're looking at me incredulously. Thank you. Faculty are an amazing group of teachers, scholars, colleagues, and I thank you all for your continued dedication to the excellence of this program. Well, we've come to the end. I hope that your time at the Maxwell School will serve you well in the years to come. You've made friends that will last a lifetime. Friends are important, but what really unites you as friends also unites you as Maxwell alumni. People like John Berry, Rosemary O'Leary, John Perry, Bob Bafolco, Walter Broadnax, Christine Molino, and Brady K. Howell. By using the skills and knowledge that you learned here at Maxwell, you will, to quote the Athenian oath one last time, make the city a better place and become part of the soul of the Maxwell School. And how about one last round of applause for the 2012 graduating class? Congratulations to all of you. We will recess as follows. The official party on the stage will leave first. Students will follow row by row from the back to the front. I ask the guests to remain in place until all of the students have recessed. And then I invite all of you to a reception under the tent to stay a little cooler on the steps of Maxwell Hall so you can enjoy light refreshments and celebrate this wonderful accomplishment. The 2012 Public Administration Convocation is now adjourned.